Welcome to Bea TV, Becoming Everything You Are, sponsored by Raytheon Technologies, and I'm your host, Marcia Jews. During the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference, I've assisted participants in unearthing their stellar achievements in STEM excellence with the goal of revealing their career and advancing brilliance of STEM essence. Bea STEM Conference is the place where trailblazing STEM professionals turn their STEM story into STEM stardom. And now, please welcome our next guest.
Hello, my name is Sondia Christian. I work for HI. I'm the Director of Business Integration at our Ingalls location in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Something interesting about me, I love to travel. Enjoy the conference. Thank you.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So please share with us how you got into STEM. What was going on as you were growing up for you to make this trek into science, technology, engineering, and math?
Well, thank you so much for the question. And how I got into STEM was long ago, it wasn't called STEM. It was just called science on one hand, technology on the other. And then when I think about the mathematics piece, my father was a mathematics teacher in school. So that was one of the things that inspired me to really get into math and to numbers. I work for Huntington Ingalls Shipbuilding. And working for the shipbuilding company, I am in the business organization. So being around numbers has always been my forte and something I've enjoyed. And so being a part of this Bea conference and watching students as far as STEM is concerned is kind of exciting. Like I said, back in the day, it wasn't called STEM, but now, we have an acronym for it, appropriate acronym, if you will.
And so in making the moves to where you're really handling all the business, but understanding with the size of the Huntington Ingalls, what made you decide to take that position with that company?
The position with Huntington Ingalls was kind of easy for me. Our contractor, our customer is the Navy. We are a federal government contractor. And so coming from a family of individuals who were in the military, my father, my brother, my uncles, my husband, and not having the opportunity myself to go into the military, I thought it was a great opportunity for me to be a part of something bigger than myself. And coming to Huntington Ingalls was not, it was a great decision for me and was easy for me because what we do in building ships and protecting freedom all over this world and building the greatest ships is just an awesome thing. So it wasn't a difficult task for me.
In looking at the world today, how do we impact the young people, elementary, middle school, in focusing on STEM, in showing them the possibilities? Sometimes I always say, you don't even know what you don't know, right? So, and how are we going to get there unless we have places like the Black Engineer of the Year and other places where we can find people who look like us and our children can see these role models? How do we change that, looking at it from a national scale in our communities? How do you see us being able to do that so that we have more Dr. Christians?
Well, I hope I can call you Marcia.
Yes.
If that's okay.
Yes.
Marcia, I think that is an amazing question. And what we have to do is we really need to take, in my mind, a grassroots approach. And starting in our elementary schools, looking at individuals who are excelling in their science classes. We know that technology is in their hands the day they're born, per se. So we know that they can do technology as it relates to games and other things, but what are they doing from a learning standpoint as far as technology? And then looking at the engineering piece and the math. How do we, I think going into the schools and being intentional about what are their grades, what are their interests, taking those analysis and surveys, and then finding out and pulling those students out. And I'm not saying segregate them, but I'm saying identifying them and really giving them the mentorship and the coaching that they need early on to kind of hone those skills so that when they get into the junior high and high schools, they can really choose at that point in time what they want to do. Because sometimes we, as elementary and junior high students, they are doing well in a lot of different areas. But as they get to high school, they start to understand, hey, I think math is my forte. I think science is for me. I think I really want to be an engineer because I like taking things apart and putting it back together again. I love that, right? So those are the things that we have to do. We have to be intentional about it, especially in the areas of education when it relates to our children, and whether those opportunities are not readily available. Because in my mind, we have to go into the schools that don't have a lot of funding, that schools that don't have the right, and I'm not going to say the right, I'm going to say the appropriate parenting as it relates. They may not have a father and a mother in the home, but yet the student just needs some help and mentorship to lead them down that path of STEM. If that makes sense.
It does make sense. And part of the challenge, I think, is that we don't really track these children, right? They go through the elementary, then they go on to the junior high, they go on, or they may or may not go on to high school. We don't know what they're doing. And so it's really interesting that we have to we take them through the process. We push them on, whether they're ready or not, to the next grade, right? Or they'll start to drop out. But there has to be something, we have all these little pockets of things. And I feel like this is Marcia speaking. So I think there needs to be a national movement of getting children in STEM. That's where the design is. That's where the creativity is. That's where products are developed. All If we had nurturing environments for our community, we would have more Dr. Christians, which is what we want. We want young girls of color to see people like yourself, to even go through programs to be that next you. And it has to be a groundswell. We're still talking about, why are we still talking about the digital divide in 2023? I mean, like, for real.
Yes, when we could actually give access to everyone, no matter where they are, no matter who they are, no matter
Period.
if they're willing to pay or not. It's available, and you're right, and it has to be. Again, I talk about intentional. This is one of those things nationally that has to put. We have to put boots on the ground. We have to put folks in there that want to see this succeed. Because a lot of times we put an initiative out there, right? And then all of a sudden it kind of fades to black and nothing else happens. This is not going away. And there is a divide in STEM today, for our children. And the only way to solve this is from the national level. And we have to raise our voices, and we have to make our legislators understand the importance of our children getting the opportunities to be put into a place and into a realm where they can thrive, where they can be creative, where they can actually express themselves in a manner, technical wise, that otherwise they would not have had the opportunity to do so.
That's exactly right. What's really fascinating, Career Communications Group, which owns the Black Engineer of the Year Awards Conference, has a program called TAP, Technology Awareness Program.
Mhm.
And that program started out with Black Family Technology Awareness Week and La Familia Technology Awareness Week and First Families Technology Awareness Week. And then they merged them to the Technology Awareness Program. That program was back in the early 2000s, whatever the year was. And why are we still having this conversation 20 something years later? We're having the same conversation. Doc Taborn and his team are still doing the same thing. But we have, and I want to ask you this because where you are, you're sitting right there where all these corporations, suppose they pulled together and said, okay, all the educational programs need to be dealing with STEM connectivity so kids can get to STEM. And so tell me, do people dig holes around in your neighborhood or something? The streets got to get tore up. They keep digging the same hole at least 5 times. I've been counting them, girl. I've been counting them. I'm counting how many times they dig that same hole. And there's a program. I'm like, right, this is that same hole. You go down the same street, and 5 months later they start digging again. It's right. And
Yeah.
so but in that there's a program called the Intelligent Community Forum, and they literally travel the world to see what smart cities there are and what countries are deploying the connection internet to their neighbors, right? Think about how many children could be helped if we go in that same hole that they've been digging 12 times over and over again and put some internet piping or
Yes.
wires where all these communities in underserved communities will have
Yes.
access to the internet. So I'm on this thing now where I just think that this is 2023. That's enough. They started talking about the digital divide 25 years ago.
I can feel you wherever you are and wherever I can feel. I know the passion. I can see the passion, but I can say that from a Huntington Ingalls industry standpoint, a high standpoint, we do focus a lot on STEM in our communities.
Great.
For the location that I'm in, the Ingalls location in Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Mm.
And when I say Mississippi, you know that we still have our issues. But what I see happening through the Ingalls division and being the largest private employer in the state of Mississippi, we've taken on that responsibility. And last week
I
we
love
we
it.
had we hosted a group of individuals within and educators within the schools, and we gave out $100,000 in STEM grants to those various schools to assist their students. And that's part of the challenge that I think we have to pose for all companies. But to your point, it needs to be a collective so that we can get some accountability and get some traction and get the tracking of who's doing what and how are we helping the students holistically. Because if Huntington Ingalls is doing it and others are doing it, but we're not talking to one another, then how is that? How do we know what are we measuring? That's the real
Mm.
question for me.
Mm.
What are we measuring? But I am so elated that I see the young men and women in STEM today, especially at this BEA conference, who have probably come through what I would call treacherous and not so favorable upbringings, but they are here and they know that they belong here. And I am amazed at what I'm seeing, Miss Marsha.
Listen, let me say this to you. This 37 years later, right? And it makes me want to cry because I remember coming, coming to the conference. And, I thought I was, worldly, right? That I had seen stuff and I'd never seen that many Black people in one place doing so many different things in science, technology, engineering, and math. And I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't know what to do with that. it, and you sit down and you look at where we are. We needed Black Engineer of the Year awards to exist, for
Yes.
us to be celebrated, for us to be able to share, for us to be able to come together as a family and build. And that's what happens with this conference. And every winner that comes through, every person who comes in just to see, there's a whole career fair that takes up 3 exhibit halls in the Washington hotel. I don't know how much space they're taking up over there at the Gaylord. And to see all of this and to see people who look like us, I like being able to say that look like us doing a daggone thing.
It's exciting. It's also something that gives us something to go on, because I'm sure when individuals come to this conference and they look around, because they brought their individual issues, their challenges, and their all the things that they go through on a day-to-day basis and what they've gone through in life, and they come to this conference and they see individuals who look just like them, who have hair like them and skin color like them and talk like them. And guess what? All of them have something in common. They are doing what they need to do to succeed and to be productive and wonderful citizens in this country called the United States. I am excited about the fact that when you see it, it makes my heart kind of flutter a little bit, because I know that 10 or 15, 20 years ago, I didn't have that opportunity to see this, but I see it now. And I will tell
Mhm.
you, Marcia, for anyone that is struggling with who they are and where they want to be, I just want to say this. I am a person that struggles with dyslexia every single day of my life. It's gotten better. But this, don't let this doctorate in front of my name fool you. If I can do it, anybody can do it. All you have to do is the Bible speaks of putting your foot to the plow and not looking back. You have to be intentional. You have to be a person that you know where you're going, and stay focused. And that's what we have to tell our young people today. Don't get wrapped up in the social media game and all these different things. Stay focused as to what you want to do. Keep your eye on the prize that you're looking for.
Mhm. I really, this is so important, Dr. Christian, because, just the years that I've participated in this program, the people that I have met, the jobs that they have, they're jobs that people have I've never even heard of. Right? I didn't even know they existed. Like, are you serious? And you go through the awards program and they say, wait, he did that. What? Mark Dean had the original whatever gadget on making the computers, right? Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Dean. That
Mm-hmm.
man was from Tennessee and he used to walk to school like miles to get to where he had to go to school. But we go through these journeys. We take these long foot road talks, having a conversation with our friends, talking about what we'd like to do, what we'd like
Mm-hmm.
to see, sharing our dreams. But there's a possibility. And the beauty of the Black Engineer of the Year is that we now become a family, that we have these abilities. It's so cool when we were in DC to be able to see people sitting in the lobbies talking, and it not just talking and kicking it. They're talking about big programs they're working on, and they're sharing. And oh, you know what, you might want to. And sometimes, you go and you stand and say, what y'all talking about? And they start telling me, I don't even know what they're talking about because I'm not an engineer. But it is so fabulous because you're in a place where you are free to be,
Yes,
to create, to design, and to share and to build.
I love it.
And
There's
and I
nothing like.
love that you're here. Mhm.
Thank you. I can't say enough about the atmosphere. and the, you know, you can just soak it up, right, and be in the middle of it. And to your point, you know, they're having these conversations, and I'm not an engineer either. I'm a technical person. I'm a technology person. I'm a business person. I'm in mathematics. I love all of that. However, to see these young people articulate, instruct, and be creative, and they are professional, they're well dressed. It is amazing. And
Mhm.
I again, I'm just soaking it up. I'm learning a lot. I can go back now and kind of run a little longer myself just because of their energy.
I know it's like somebody you take a little plug and plug it in because now you all raring to go,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And you can go back home and then gear up and get ready and come back again to get
Yes,
another charge for the
that's
next
it.
year.
It's just like that, you know, and you got to have something on the other side to connect that, right? And there has to be a spark there, and they are definitely the spark to ignite a difference for our future and for our children's futures. This is something to see.
It is something to see, and I just can't relate you enough. And it's so wonderful to meet you. Welcome to the family, the Bea family.
Thank you. I am elated, and I thank you for your kindness and for Career Communications kindness as well. Thank you.